Extra hours, extra hours. We're back on extra hours. We've got the lovely, beautiful comedian, Nadz. Welcome back, darling. It's good to catch up with you. How are you feeling, Nadz?
I'm alright. Do you know what? I'm content. I'm a little sore. Did leg day yesterday. Like, don't watch that. When I walked in here, he's like, why are you limping?
Yeah.
I'm like, mind your business. But otherwise, I'm fine. Otherwise, I'm good.
Like, when you walked in here,
Yeah.
I was just a little bit concerned. I was thinking, like, did you get chased to my house? Like, what really happened to your legs? But, it happens when, when you're working out, doing leg day.
You got to do that. You got to take the soreness. If you're not sore, you haven't done enough. Simple.
That's absolutely true.
Yep.
And even with your fitness, like, fitness journey, like, how's that going, man? Because like I said to you, like, obviously the people can see you on camera as well. You're glowing, you're looking absolutely beautiful as always. But you've got this glow, like I said, off camera. You look like you just came from holiday, like, just seeing a bit of sun. But yeah, how's your fitness journey going?
It's going all right. It is going all right. You know what I'm saying? It's like...
Yeah.
It's a hard thing. People think once you get into your goals and your journey and everything that it's just very simple and easy, and it's not. Like, so when you're on a fitness journey, you have to understand that it's not always going to be great. You're not always going to stick to your meal plan. Something's going to come up, like a birthday or a wedding or a holiday, and it's like, well, you just got to learn to live life as well as taking care of yourself in a nice, balanced way. And I think that is the hardest thing to balance. Yeah.
When the eating side of things, or just in general in terms of sort of things that come up.
Yeah, so like things like for example, like I was going to the gym maybe 4-5 times a week.
Yeah.
But then obviously I had a lot of shows. And if I've got shows, I haven't got time for the gym. So it's like you have to understand that, life can get in the way sometimes. But as long as you get back on it, it's fine.
Absolutely fine. With your fitness as well, like, once again, because I think a lot of people do things where they've got like a goal, or they want to do this, they want to accomplish this. And obviously with the fitness, like, obviously over the last few years, so many people, which is absolutely good, by the way. I love it. Like, you see so many people going on their fitness journeys. I completely love it. Like, for you, like, you see, like, is it in terms of like just, good health, keeping good health, and obviously continue looking beautiful and sexy, or you've got like a certain goal that you want to achieve with your fitness, like your fitness journey?
So it's not like, oh, I'm aiming to be a supermodel. No, that's not my goal. My goal is to just be like, I want to be healthy, I want to be fit, and I'm thinking for like in the future. So a lot of people don't think for the future. So it's like, okay, when I get older, I want my body to be in a good enough shape that I don't really need that assistance. I can still bend down to pick up my shopping bags. I can still put my food away in the cupboards. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's just about the future. I can play with kids, grandkids easily. Without being like, like you've got your standard old person. You've got your standard old person, and then you've got your old person that isn't old, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm just thinking for the future. I want to be able to be self-sufficient for longer. Yeah. Basically.
Okay. That, because like what you said, you got certain people. I even see them on social media, and I'm like, wow, you got people like in their 80s, 70s, they're still proper active.
Yep.
And on the other hand, you see the same people, you see different people, the same age, but these motherfuckers are completely broken. Backs are gone, legs are gone. In little school, and all of these
that's what
things.
I'm saying. I'm trying to be self-sufficient for longer, and that's why I'm doing this now.
Yeah. Even last time we had a conversation about your comedy, and obviously since we had that conversation about your comedy journey, your comedy career, like, you have been fucking it up. You have been doing a lot of shows, up and down the UK, which I'm not gonna lie, absolutely amazing to see, because like I've always told you, like, with your comedy, you see the way you are. Whatever happens, all of these things that are going on in your life, please don't ever stop the comedy.
No.
Like, let the people know, like, what's been going on, like, like with your comedy, and what's made you literally say, you know what, let me get back on it even more. Do you got what I'm trying to say? Like, what's happened, darling? What's happened?
Right. So obviously I did take a bit of a hiatus with the comedy, and I was like, oh, let me just focus on the videos.
Yeah.
And that was purely because I just didn't have time. I didn't really have the time to do stand-up because I was like focusing on work and this and that. And I thought, let me just chuck in a video when I've got the time. But to commit to a stand-up show is different. I couldn't really commit to it. And so I was like, let me just take a little hiatus. Let me get my life in order and then get back on it. But do you know what? I've got to say, like, thank God, a lot of opportunities have come my way. I haven't.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Like, I'm thinking, a lot of people, a lot of comedians, they always say to me, like, do you ever seek out work when it comes to comedy? Like, do you ever email promoters or email them to be like, oh, I'm this person, here's my show reel, like, have you got a space for me, a spot for me? I've got to say, I've never done that in my life. And the shows come to me, and I know that sounds a bit big-headed, but that's just how it is. That's just how it's come about. Do you know what I mean? If I wanted it to be a full-time thing, which I don't, I've got to be honest, I don't want it to be a full-time thing. I quite enjoy doing it as and when. But if I did, then I would be sending out, okay, cool, here I am, cool, have you got a show for me here? Have you got a show for me there? But right now it's like, well, if you want me, I'll be there. Yeah. But I'm not going to seek you out, because why should I seek you out when I don't want it to be every single day of my life? I don't want it to be my full-time thing. So, yeah.
It makes complete sense. Yeah. And have you been on a tour? Like, have you been like on a comedy show tour, or you've just been doing like separate shows, like in different places?
I've done a mixture of things. So I've done a little shows here and there.
Yeah.
But I also just finished the Funny Muslim Ladies tour. Again, I've done that tour before. Yeah. And there's another one coming up in January, Arabs and Asians. That's another tour that I'm on. Repping the only female.
And even just on a quick one as well, yeah?
Yeah.
Would you say that when you're doing comedy, yeah, when you're on stage, that's when you're at your happiest?
When I'm on stage, I find it a challenge.
Interesting.
I find it a challenge because it's like you just don't know what the audience is going to be like. Because you can be saying the exact same jokes in one place and do the exact same joke in another place, and it will work in one place and it will not work in another place. So it's a bit like, what's going to happen tonight? Do you know what I'm saying? Is it going to go well? Is it not going to go well? Am I going to forget what I was going to say? Like, it's like, it's a challenge, but it's exciting as well, because I really do enjoy making people happy and making people laugh. If I make them happy, then I'm happy. And that's the reason that I do it. But it is a challenge as well.
Yeah, talk about a challenge. Like, when I, like, two people like that I always have to say, like, whenever I look at like things they do, comedians and actors. Obviously, I could give other examples, innit?
Yeah.
But if I'm just speaking about like comedians right now and actors in terms of like remembering your lines, your jokes.
Yeah.
Me, that's why even more time I always have to say big you guys up, because like because imagine being a comedian, yeah, like what you said. You need to go on stage. You got two things. You need to remember your jokes, and two, you've got this thing at the back of your mind, like saying to yourself, I hope these motherfuckers laugh to my, excuse my French, I hope these motherfuckers laugh to my jokes. You got what I'm saying? So it's like, it's double pressure every time you're going on stage. It's like, for you, like, how do you, like you say it's a challenge, isn't it? Is that a challenge, like, more time when you go on stage, like, is that a challenge for you, like, a challenge that you always embrace? Or sometimes you feel like, oh, hopefully this goes to plan, if you get what I'm saying? Or do you always, every time you go on stage, you say, you know what, regardless of whatever, I'm just gonna embrace this challenge. You get me?
Yeah, no, you gotta embrace it. You gotta embrace it. There's no point being like really nervous about it. I've actually felt like everyone gets nervous. If a comedian tells you they don't get nervous before they go on stage, they're a liar. Yeah? Jeremy Kyle style. You're a liar. Like, honestly, it is a thing. Remembering stuff is probably one of my biggest fears, because my memory's not always that great. And also you have to take into account that I do different circuits. So when I do the Arabs or the Muslim shows, my jokes are completely different than if I'm going to do an urban show or a white show. Do you know what I mean? So it's two different sets of jokes. So that's more than enough to remember, because you can't mix the two. I've tried, believe me, it doesn't work.
So what's happened, like, when you tried to mix the two audiences, yeah? Yeah. Like, how's that been? Like, how's the outcome? Okay, no, stop, man.
It's not going well. It's not going well.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, like, I could probably like understand it, because it's like two complete different cultures to a certain degree. Like, these guys, they consume like different kind of music and different kind of content to a certain degree. It's a different culture. It's basically like two different cultures, isn't it? You get me? And it's like,
exactly.
And it's like, you just need to, like, you know what people say, like, sometimes as long as you can read the room, you should be able to, to cut through. You get me?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I think in order for something to be funny, it has to be relatable. So if you don't relate to it, you're not going to find it funny. And I think that's the be all and end all of it.
Yeah.
So let's say in a black audience, for example, if you're making jokes about beating kids, you was beaten as a child. Yeah, people are gonna laugh about it, like, yeah, my mum got me with a belt too, you know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
if you do that to a white crowd, they're like, did you not call the RSPCC? Are you okay? Have you got trauma? Do you know what I'm saying? It's like they don't find it funny, they find it concerning.
Yeah.
So it's like you've really got to read the room. Do you know? You've really got to read the audience,
That's
know your
true.
audience,
Yeah.
and joke accordingly.
Yeah. And you see, comedy, because one of our first conversations that we had, yeah, I said to you guys, like, people should let the comedians be fucking free to just
100%,
fucking say whatever they've got to say.
100%.
Do you feel like, obviously, for me, I feel like it's kind of went down a little bit, this cancel culture kind of thing, because I feel like we went through like a little phase where people were just on this fucking cancel culture shit.
Still there.
You get me? It's still there. Do you feel like it's calmed down a little bit as well, or it's still there?
I think it's gone more.
Shit.
I think it's gone more.
Oh, you think it got more?
I think it's gone higher.
Why? Why do you think that?
I think the more people feel entitled to their opinions and feelings, the more that you can't say stuff.
God damn.
So it's like, yeah, you've got to tread very carefully, and it's like I think that kind of ruins it a bit.
Absolutely, that.
'Cause, like, yeah, I mean, I've been banned from 2 comedy clubs.
Banned for using like certain jokes or just talking about certain topics. That they feel like
they said I was offensive, and I was like, no, I was just observational.
Yeah.
But the fact that you didn't like that,
Yeah.
now you found that offensive, and it's like, no, I just observed something. I'm talking about like a stereotype, for example, that everyone knows and everyone talks about. You know. And now they don't like it, and they're like, no, we found you offensive. It made the other comedians uncomfortable. We can't really have you back. And I'm like, fine, good riddance. I don't want to be here anyway. Do you know what I mean? Sensitive Sally, you can fuck off.
Oh, yeah, fuck off, sensitive Sally, you can. You see what you're doing to me?
Yeah, listen, calm it down.
Crazy. Oh,
yeah,
cool.
bring it down. Let's
Bring it down. Let's bring it down. Yeah, let's keep them inside voices inside. You get me? So even like, just life in general, man, because like I said, man, on like this extra hours, show that I do besides the red chair, like I said, I like to catch up with, especially with people who I really still fuck with, people that I care for, I check for sometimes. And I'm like, why not get Nadz on here and we just catch up on certain things, like I said, comedy and just in life in general, man. Like, how's life been? And even like in general, like, how is your mental health, man? Because one thing that I like to talk about more often than ever, just like, obviously, like I always say to people, and probably people who always watch this conversation are going to be like, Chef, you're always saying the same thing, but I feel like I need to say this to every person. When you ask people, like, how's your mental health? Obviously, you're always going to get two sides in it. Some people are going to be vulnerable because that's them, like, they don't really care. It is what it is, how they feel. And you're going to get another person who, deep down, they're not going to really basically tell you what's going on inside because maybe they don't want to say things on camera or... Maybe they're looking at you inside and saying, motherfucker, you're not a fucking therapist. Why the fuck am I opening up to like, you get me?
Yeah.
But for me, like I said, as a, Allah's watching, as a generally I care, and for me, I think it's my responsibility. As long as I ask you, like, how you're feeling, however you answer, it's completely up to you. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah, man. So, like, how's your mental health? And I think it's even perfect timing. The year's nearly finishing and whatnot. But yeah, like, yeah, darling, how's your, like, your mental health? Just in general, like, how are you feeling?
Do you know what? I take it day by day. Because not every day is the same. Every day's got its new challenges. Some days are good, some days are bad.
Absolutely.
So you just, I just try and think, okay, do you know what? Today was a bad day, tomorrow's a new day. We'll just try and fight that. So, mental health is up and down. But I think that's life and that's normal. You just have to take it day by day.
And the more that I talk about mental health as well, maybe, I hope people don't take this the wrong way, I also feel that with mental health, like, sometimes it's because, that when we go through, like, certain things, either financially or certain things are taking long, I feel like sometimes also some of us, because I've been a victim to that, I've basically, like, I've mixed up depression with just completely being in a bad place financially, or certain things are taking long. Do you understand? Because I feel like sometimes we can blur mental health with just simply certain things that are not really going on within our lives. You got to understand where I'm coming from? Yeah. And I think sometimes this is why it's important to have this conversation and just say to certain people, if you're going through, like, obviously some people's mental health issues are are deeper than others, innit? But I feel like for a lot of us, some people like just need to like really, really ask themselves like, am I really, really like suffering through like, you know, am I really suffering mentally, or it's maybe because this is going on in my life.
Yeah.
I need to sort this out in my life. You get where I'm coming from?
Yeah. I can only speak really for like depression and stuff.
Of course.
You know, I've studied things like mental health and all of that stuff. But when it comes to depression, that has to be something that has been a constant for a minimum of a certain amount of time before it's classed as depression. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that is true. People confuse having a bad day with depression. That is often what happens.
Yeah.
But you know what? Everyone is entitled to feel how they feel. If they feel like having a bad day is them being depressed, as long as they get over it, that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's absolutely true as well. And even for you, like your year, like you know, usually people say like, oh, you know, hopefully I've had a shit year. Hopefully next year is good and whatnot. Are you one of them people that tries to see the positives in what your year has brought more than the negatives? If you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah. To be honest, I think as the year comes to an end, it's probably best to reflect on what you've done in your life, and the positive stuff that you've done. Yeah. Like for me, it's like, okay, well, in the past year, since last year, I've now started going to the gym. I'm in a better place physically, mentally, you know, and all of that stuff. Like I've really got myself into a routine. Like I'm feeling good. There's also been bad stuff as well, but you also need to reflect on the bad stuff, because how else are you meant to learn and get better? How can you become the best version of yourself if you don't reflect on the bad shit? Once you've been like, you know what, that's how I was. I don't want to be like that no more. Boom, this is how I'm going to change. This is how I'm going to change. So you got to reflect on both things.
Yeah. 2025. Would you say like, if we're talking about your comedy, would you say like 2025 has got the potential of being your biggest year comedy-wise for whatever reason?
It could be.
It could be.
It could be.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Obviously, I'm not asking you to tell people something.
Whatever happens, happens.
Just in general, yeah.
But I'm open to it, which is different than how I was last year.
Yeah.
Last year, I was like, not really sure, but I'm open to it this time. So. Yeah.
And through your comment, and through like, obviously, like, you know, like when you go on stage, you know, things that you talk about and whatnot as well. Like, are you finding like, you know, obviously people start off with a certain way they write their jokes, with a certain way they create whatever they want to talk about on stage. Yeah. Are you finding that the more that you do your comedy, you know, like you're still kind of like obviously developing your jokes the same way, your material the same way, or you're finding even other ways that you can even make your, you know, your comedy even like, you know, better in different ways?
Yeah.
If you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah. So before I would kind of just write the joke and roll with it. Now I've started to kind of be a bit more open to discussing jokes, having write-in sessions with other comedians. Yeah. Because if you tell them an idea, they can give you an idea to make it better. Yeah. So it's like, okay, that's funny, but you know what else you could do? You could do this, and you can try it out this way and that way and see which one works the best. So it's like, you are writing the jokes, but you are getting a little bit of feedback and criticism as well. So that's what I'm doing a bit differently. I'm getting a little bit of feedback, a little bit of criticism, and I'm rolling with it. So yeah.